our ultimate location. We are going to start off with a site plan review of the hearing for the outing club, 191 Parkside Road and Woodward Park Road. Who would like to come talk about that? You want to just come up and have a seat at the table there and then just make sure the mic, you can speak in the mic so it's being recorded. Thank you. Perfect. Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. My name is Erica Brown. I'm the Executive Director of the Outing Club. We are here today to present the proposed installation of 3 safety lights for Woodward Park. As outlined in our executive summary and the proposal that you've received, this initiative is aimed at addressing a significant safety concern for the numerous young children and families who participate in Outing Club recreational activities each season. We understand that the safety and well-being of our community members is a top priority for this board. The proposed lights will provide necessary illumination in the park, enhancing safety for the hundreds of youth and families who utilize the park during the fall and spring seasons. We have members of the Outing Club and park abutters present today who are welcome to speak on our behalf. Additionally, we are available to answer any questions that you have regarding this proposal. We believe that these safety lights are a practical and necessary measure to improve the safety and enjoyment of Woodward Park for all to use it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have one letter that I was going to read in, but do we have questions from the board, comments?
Precisely where are the lights going?
Sure, just Paul, make sure that the microphone's on when you ask the question. Yep, thanks.
I asked precisely where are the lights going?
Perfect. So as you can see in the picture above, where the circles are, that is the cast of the lights actually, but the lights themselves will be the center dark spot. So if you drive into Woodward Park, right after Kent Woodward Field on the right, the first baseball field, before you start to go down the hill on the tennis courts on the right, we'll put a light there. And that will, all of our youth, like kinder through second grade programming happens in the outfield in the fall over there. So we definitely need to illuminate that. And as well as our youth baseball. So up through 4th grade, they're practicing at that park. And then if you go down the hill, as you pass the playground on the right and you loop between the 2 fields, that little island there, that's how people turn around. At the base and at the top of that, we will also offer 2 lighting opportunities.
Emily, you had a question?
I just had a question. I live across the street from the D parking lot at Kearsarge College, and the lights. Originally, when they built it, the lights were not, they were supposed to go into the parking lot. And as a butter, the new light person put them so that I get them in my windows. And I want to make sure that the butters don't have that happen to them because it's sort of annoying.
Absolutely. And we've worked with Peter Hamill, who is here and is willing to speak. He's the one that helped us come up with these specific lights.
Okay.
You want to
Good.
a question? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course. I would agree. Yeah, just.
Hello, my name is Peter Hamill and I'm one of the largest abutters for the park and I'm also the one installing the lights, proposed the lights. Have been a coach, a parent, the kids are down there, especially this time of year as we age into the soccer season. Last year it gets dark around 6 o'clock, so parents are coming in, driving around the cul-de-sac. Kids are running everywhere to pick them up and no lighting. So
Lots of rocks and cul-de-sac.
rocks,
No.
kids, and so it's more of just a safety concern. These are very low level. They're only a 20-foot pole. More to shine down. Nothing's really going to shine out. I think there was some photometrics on it. Certain distance away, I don't even think you're going to see them. So it's just spotlight. It's not made to light it up like you'd have at a gas station or a Hanford or anything like that. It's just to take the darkness.
And the lights will be turned off about what time?
We haven't determined that yet. There'll probably be a timer or something like that. They'll go off 11, 12 o'clock probably. There has been issues in the past that I hear people down there, kids down there between 11 and 12, banging on the buildings, just doing things that shouldn't be done. And I think if there was light there, this may deter some of that activity. It's just dark, so no one can see anything down there at all. Questions?
Do you have a question?
I do. Is there power to the park? I can't,
There is.
so Eversource doesn't have to come in and put in more poles or
No, there's a
anything?
panel kind of adjacent to the tennis courts.
Okay, that's right. They did have lights at one time.
Currently feeds the snack shack and there's an outlet down the tennis court. That's theirs.
Just all, again,
Sure, there we go. Yeah, so this might be more of a, I'm new to this. So I was looking at this earlier and the only thing that kind of was covered, but just kind of a follow-up, was I saw in the site plan review regulations that at 11, it looks like the lights need to be reduced to security level or turned off. So that was the only thing I just wanted to point that out. And maybe you guys can clarify if I'm misunderstanding that might be useful information.
So my understanding from Erica, and she can take this over, is that that would be outside of the normal operating hours of Woodward Park, so that they would not be on at that point anyways, security level or otherwise.
Yeah, the primary purpose of these lights at this point and foreseeable future is to just protect our student athletes and our families when we have activities going. We are not trying to expand hours in the park. We are not trying to extend programming happening. October 20th is my last home tournament. After that, we do not have evening activities in the park held by the OC. Obviously, we keep the park open for the public intentionally, and that's a lovely thing. But we are not trying to add additional programming or keep people down there until midnight. I envision by 8 or 8:30, everyone's out of there. Right now, our earliest soccer games are 5:30. In October, they move up to 5. Those games are over by 6. I have everyone out of the park by 6:30. So really by 7:30 or 8, we could, if we have that timer, just turn those lights right off.
thanks, Aaron. Point. Other questions or comments from the board? So I'll read this letter quickly from Wendy Johnson, and then we'll take questions or comments from the public. I received the abutters notice regarding the public hearing for the new London Outing Club and their proposed light fixtures. I will be out of town on September 10th and will not be able to attend the hearing in person. I would let the planning board know that I support the Outing Club's plan to erect 3 light fixtures in their parking lot. I have no issue with the installation of lights, and I think this is a needed safety feature. Again, that's from Wendy Johnson at 6 Barrett Road, it's in the butter. Thanks. So are there other folks from the public who have questions or comments? When you come up, you can just kind of raise your hand. We'll just have you say your name so we have it for the record. Thank you.
Hi, Chelsea Williams. I live at 82 Barrett Road and would just also like to express my support for the lights. I also have kids who are entering the age of programming in the outing club, and so understand the safety need and have no issues as someone close by as an abutter with the lighting issue. As Peter shared, the light, there will be no light pollution, so I feel very happy to support this project.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment on this? Okay, I don't see anybody. Any other comments, questions from the board? Do you want to do finding of fact? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Charlene Baxter. There's a sort of parallel question to the safety concerns, and I'm just curious whether New London PD goes down through there to patrol, especially I'm thinking later in the evening when there have been problems.
Hi, my name is Amy Beckham, on the exec committee of the Outing Club. And yes, New London Police Department does frequently drive down there. That's part of like the routine. You know, we have had issues in the past. We've had people an encampment on the property. You know, we've definitely had some vandalism and things like that. So it's definitely on their radar. And we try and do everything we can to prevent, you know, unwanted people down there. So
Thank you. Paul, yeah,
Paul's
go ahead. Paul, you have a question?
No, I was just saying you have one.
Yeah. I'm just question, I think it's been brought up about safety. Were this commercial project, it's not zone 4 or whatever. What would be the requirements for safety for lighting of access to parking lots?
I don't think we would require somebody to have lighting. We have standards in place if they choose to have lighting. But if there was a business that, for whatever reason, never operated in the dark hours and they didn't want lighting, I don't think we could require them to. If they're gas stations and such, they have code that they have to meet that is, above our code for basic requirements when there are hazardous materials. But I don't believe there is a use that we would require by our site plan reg, although I would say it's standard.
I guess on the same score, lost the proponent, but on the same score, by any chance, did you review this with your insurance carriers in terms of, my concern is you have a long, dark driveway.
Yeah,
You're
and
talking about safety, and I'm just wondering why.
so our insurance carriers are very much in favor of us having these limits, as you can imagine. And they understand that the use is to maintain the safety of our student athletes while we have games, not to expand or have people down at the park until midnight, and that's why we close the park during the off season completely. So after, last year, I want to say mid-November, we locked the gates and they were closed again until, unfortunately, because of the weather, late April, when we were able to open them. Which means also, I mean, the later we go into April, with knock on wood, this won't happen weather-wise, but the later we go into April that we do open the park, the less there will be a need for lights on in the evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, Paul.
Do you customarily lock the gates every night? Is
No.
it like at 9 o'clock or something?
We do not, we leave them open because we have so many people in the community that take advantage of especially early morning walks with their dogs down there. And so they'll come down and park and then walk through to the trails. And so it's important for us that they have access there.
Well, personally, I think you should reconsider that, at least in terms of nighttime. When somebody wants to go up there at 6 o'clock in the morning and open the gates, that's still business, but I would suspect that you would help yourself by closing those gates at a specific time every evening after the games and everything else that happened. That's the end of it.
Certainly something that we can consider, yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the board? One thing that I didn't fail to mention that Aaron and Charlene, if you don't mind voting tonight for Joe and Mary Ann who could not make it. Thank you. Okay, so now we would need a motion. Before we carry on, Jane. Okay, so moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
You do plenty of tax? No, but it's fine. Okay, I forgot to set it.
Actually, is commensurate.
Yeah. I said it and
There's no oppositions.
okay. So excited to move ahead. So next up, we have a tree cutting at 267 Lamson Lane. Tom, come on up. Good evening. Is that on? I'm not sure. Hello? Now it is, yeah. How are you guys? Good. How are you? Good.
It's a little faster than the last time we got you on, isn't
Yeah.
it?
2 hours. Yeah. Don't forget. I enjoyed everything. So we are proposing 3 removals, if I could remember correctly, on.
Yes.
A damaged pine tree overlooking Lyman's dock, a dead ash tree, and dead ash tree. Yeah, we have woodpecker damage, termites, rot at the base,
We're taking that picture from his dock. Once with the removals, we'll have under the required points, and we came up with a planting plan of a mixture of blueberries and some what he's removing is dead, dying, or diseased, and shows danger to his property and people.
Can you say that again? Tell me the blueberries and what was the other thing?
What did we say?
Native tree shrub.
Yeah, so Lyman's already started planting in there. I think he has a gardener who does it for him, but they'll follow the planting plan of a mixture of blueberries and native shrubs. Perfect. Yeah.
And I have to compliment the Chapins for new construction. The site visit showed that the waterfront buffer was one of the most heavily vegetated ground cover buffers I think we've seen in new construction in the last 5 years. I don't think taking these trees out is something they want to do. It's necessitated, unfortunately.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Are there questions from the board? Comments,
I have a question.
please.
Is there a requirement that they replant with trees?
So 50% of the replanting can be composed of the shrub ground cover and then 50% with the trees. So in this scenario, there's 4 points that have to be remade, so they can have the 2 points in the blueberry and then 2 point in the tree, which in this case is probably a single tree.
Are the native shrubs trees then?
No, that would be part of
It's regular trees.
that would be the blueberry would be the native shrub. So that's the 2 point half, and then the tree's the other 2 point half.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Other comments or questions from the board?
Okay, now I have a,
Please, Erin.
I also have a question that's more of a clarification because I read through this whole thing earlier. So with that replanting and it having to be 2 points tree, how does that work in this? Because like, for instance, I think the trees that are being cut down they're over 12 inches. I don't know precisely the size, but you wouldn't bring in a 12-inch. So how does that work if they were to bring in a sapling? That clearly would be the 1 to 6 inch. They just get 1 point, even though it potentially could be larger.
Correct. You get the point when it's planted. This keeps like going in and out. Sorry. When it's planted. Yep. Which is oftentimes the hard time or the hard thing about replanting, especially if you have a cell with like 1 10-point tree and that tree fails and you need to find the spots for the other 10 trees. Sometimes there's ledge or leaving the roots intact for the 1 10-point tree that can make things difficult.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Other questions or comments from the board? Questions from the seats? We can just name the public.
When you stick it out till the end, you get the
special recognition. All right, so hearing no other comments or questions from anyone on the board, is there a motion? Second. Motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody abstaining or say nay? Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Don.
Made it up to you this time.
Appreciate it.
I have a few different updates. Do you want me to get that in? All right, so let me just stop sharing this screen here. So I have a couple updates for you guys, dates to get on your calendars. On November 13th, I should know the time, but I don't. I think it's 5:30. Put 5:30 on your calendar. I'll let you know between now and then. But the Housing Commission will be hosting their first speaker session. That will be at Wheeler Hall at Colby Sawyer, where the selectmen host their seasonal gatherings. The presentation will be by Steve Whitman from Resiliency Planning and Design and Zach Brohinsky and Eric, I cannot remember his last name, from RKG Associates in Cambridge. RKG is a subcontractor of our consultants that does very specialized demographic research. And so they will be doing a presentation to talk about the work that they've done so far, and really sort of lay the groundwork and the data behind the future work of the Housing Commission. So hopefully you can all join us for that.
I'm sorry, did you say 5:30?
I believe it's 5:30. We went back and forth on the time so many times. The presentation, I think we've settled on about an hour and a half, and then there's probably going to be like a half an hour before for maybe some data gathering from the consultants as people are coming in, and then maybe a little bit of time after to do the same. But we also don't want to make it too long that people don't come. So so we're sort of balancing that, but there will be hors d'oeuvres, so free food is always good for getting people out. So hopefully you can join us on the 20th of this month. If anybody is interested in an erosion control workshop, it is a full day workshop that the Lake Sunapee Protective Association is putting on. It looks like a great workshop. I'm fortunately not able to go myself, and I'm disappointed about that because it looks really good. They're actually going out in the field and doing some demonstrations for erosion control. So if anybody is interested in that, either check out LSPA's website or shoot me a message if you are, and I can send you their flyer. If you did want to attend, I think it's $75, and we can pay for that out of the town's budget, and we can, if you're interested, either you can pay and submit a reimbursement, or they can invoice us, but we can talk about that. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
No, no in place or I don't figure.
No. Janet, anything from the selectmen then? No.
We have a meeting tomorrow night.
No, we have Housing Commission tomorrow night, so you are Thursday night.
I'm sorry, that's right, we've gone back to Thursday now. Because golf is a for me.
Our meeting schedule for the fall through the end of the year is on the website, so you should have that. Just be aware we will not meet. Our November and our December meetings fall the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, so we'll give you that week off, and Christmas Eve, so we will also give you that off. Yeah, so we have big hearts. So we will meet the 24th next, and then twice in October, and then we'll be back to one a month on the schedule in November and December. But just remember, if we do decide to move forward with any kind of a zoning amendment, we usually have those work sessions in that time period. So it may look like we have one meeting a month, but that may not be the case. On the topic of zoning amendments, I was working on one for you guys that state law took care of, that sort of fell out of the radar because it came through Department of Health and Human Services, not through the land use side of things, but in relation to daycares, because we did not have daycare in our ordinance. And so knowing what the crisis is like right now, I thought that it was important that we talk about that. And the state also felt it was important, and basically said they can exist anywhere that there's a residential use without having to go through site plan review. So we no longer need to do that. So it goes into effect. It was signed the end of July. And it goes into effect tomorrow or sometime this week, I believe. So I had that prepared, but we will scrap that. And I don't believe that we have the Housing Commission will not have any work. They're really diving into the process and the data gathering. So nothing from them. So I guess I would open it up to you guys too, that if there's something that you would, like to direct me to work on, we can do that.
Well, I'm interested in finding out, I don't know if I put the right places, but what is the status of the development at the hospital? And what is the status of the proposal to build housing behind the shopping center.
Honestly, Paul, I don't have updates. I think that the Twin Pines continues to see if they can come up with a solution to the issue, but my understanding that has not happened yet. And with the continuum, I think that their developer was out of the country. I believe he just returned, so I think they're having conversations about if there's a future for that project, but at this point, I don't have.
One thing that just stimulates the question is that I happen to be driving down the road there going to the outing club. And I noticed to the right there, what was a lot of shrubs and trees has been cleared and there's a road going in there. So I said to myself, well, I wonder, does that mean that they're getting out there?
No, that was installed, the road was installed, let's see, like March, and that was to get the well drilling rigs in there. So when they drilled the test wells, which found the water, obviously the contaminant changed the story, but so that was all preceding the latest information.
So Adam, the hospital still owns that land, is that correct?
Correct.
David, use your mic.
Pardon me?
Use your
I'm
mic.
sorry. Is the hospital still owns that land?
Yes, they do.
Maybe my housekeeping, but I don't have anything on my calendar as a date for the next CIP meeting.
Well, that's to be determined.
Okay.
So the software consultant had a family emergency, so she has not completed putting the data in. So Tim and I were not able to meet last week. She was supposed to be doing that the end of last week. Unfortunately, we have some illness in the office too, and the finance manager has now been out. So my guess is this week's meeting, if she's not back tomorrow, then I'll be in touch with everyone to postpone this week's meeting. We had a 2-week buffer built in, so I think we'll be fine. But they have 2/3 of it loaded into the software. So I really, at this point, would, if we can, wait so that we actually get to utilize it. So as soon as they, I had my training from just a regular budget side of things, using it for my department budget. So the software is up and running. It's just the CIP module she hadn't finished with. So, and either she's not finished with it or they haven't given me clearance to look at it yet, because I tried to log in and go in there and see if I could just fiddle with it, and I couldn't. So we wait. So hopefully tomorrow you'll hear from me. But we were scheduled for this Friday at 7:30. That seems very unlikely at this point.
Good question, thanks, Paul. Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Right. Anything else from anyone on board? Anything from the agencies? Thanks for sticking it out. All we need now is a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. 2 hours till the debate starts. You can all get home in time.